Hello, Oracles. Well, Elon came out today in a response to a Mars catalog tweet saying that Tesla will be great long term, but does not control the macroeconomic tides. What does this mean? This means that the long term thesis for Tesla has not changed. When we look back a year ago, 2 years ago, when the stock was running to the moon and we were all saying Tesla's the greatest stock and company ever, that has not changed at all. The only thing that has changed right now are the macroeconomic tides. However, we also know that there's a lot of other things that are going on. Elon selling shares, buying Twitter, a lot of negative sentiment coming in around the stock. So today I'm going to dive into some theories. Now, I just want to preface this with we do not have anything other than some breadcrumbs and some puzzle pieces that I'm going to put together today to come up with some theories as to what we can potentially see and why we are seeing what is going on in the stock price right now. You guys can let me know in the comments below if you think any of these theories will hold any water, and we can discuss them down there. So, again, we do not have any Form 4 filings from Elon or anyone else yet. I will show you guys that, and I will check once more before we finish this recording to see if maybe we have gotten any. Obviously, today we saw that the stock was down significantly. And as we see here on the charts, the stock was down 4%, and the entire macro environment was green. The NASDAQ finished just over 1%. So, looking at these numbers with this massive underperformance, we question why. We got the CPI data that came in this morning coming in very good. The expectations were 7.3% year over year. We got 7.1% year over year. The month over month number was expected to come in at 0.3%, and we came in at 0.1%. That is a 1.2% annualized basis. That is huge. That is the direction we really want to see this month over month number going. So that is why all of the indices were green, but of course we saw Tesla way down. So looking at the numbers, we've got volume coming in at 175 million shares trading hands. That is more than double normal volume. That is a lot, especially on a red day. That is not a good sign. We do have the RSI at 32.57. That is pushing much closer to that oversold range. So now I'm going to break down some of the theories that I have. Now, again, these are just theories as to what could possibly be going on. If certain things happen and we get certain information, these may be the reasons why. We may never actually get the real reasons as to why we are seeing what we are seeing. But I just want to give you guys some information as to what the possibilities are, and then you guys can let me know in the comments below if you have any other theories yourself as to why we saw what we saw. And now, with all of that said, I still go back to what Elon said to Mars catalog, saying that Tesla is going to be great long term. So, while maybe it's not just the macro that has caused this clear underperformance of the stock price itself, the macro environment is definitely weighing down the entire market and is part of this wave. And in the long term, I think this is still going to be a great buying opportunity. I do not know where the bottom is going to be. Perhaps Chicken Genius was right, and 140 is going to be the bottom. Perhaps we end up falling down below that. Maybe there's something else that's going on in play that we are going to drop below 140. Don't know where the future is going to take us. I'm not going to make guesses anymore. I said it before. I put in half of my cash when we hit that 245 level that I told you guys I would do. I did just that, and I have been saving up cash ever since. Right now, the next level that I'm going to deploy that cash at is 140. So if we get to that 140 level, I will again deploy half of my cash and then build up my cash reserves again in case we dip any further from there. Now, again, this strategy has done me very well this year. I look back, hindsight's 2020. There's different things I could have done. I have learned a lot along the way, and I hope you guys have learned a lot along the way as well. For the next time we get into a situation similar to this, that we be able to handle it better the next time around and make better decisions. But based upon where I'm at in my portfolio right now, I am still very happy with the decisions that I have made. And you guys can let me know in the comments below if you're happy with the decisions that you have made with your portfolio as well. And so jumping into my first theory, which I think is the most plausible one if we get Form 4 filings coming out showing that Elon did sell shares of Tesla. So again, we've got the tweet here from Elon saying Tesla will be great long term, but doesn't control the macroeconomic tides. So we have also heard from Elon that he is concerned about the Fed over tightening. and in turn causing a deeper recession than we need to be in. So we have a lot of other companies out there right now that are protecting themselves. Large companies doing some layoffs, large companies hoarding cash on the sides to be able to weather this storm going forward. And now we had mentioned it this morning on the video, talking about how SpaceX tender offer is said to value company at $140 billion. SpaceX is offering to sell insider shares of the private company for $77 apiece, according to people familiar with the matter. Company would be valued at about $140 billion at that price. SpaceX, formerly known as Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, was valued at $125 billion earlier this year. A representative for SpaceX didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. So this was put out by Bloomberg and tweeted out by Gary Black. Now, nothing in there tells us and indicates that this is Elon selling shares or anything of that matter, but as Gary Black said, a positive sign that Elon Musk selling SpaceX shares rather than more Tesla at 168. And so Gary clearly believes that it is Elon selling shares over there to help fund Twitter. And now Gary also tweeted out another story by Bloomberg saying that Twitter has not paid rent for global offices for weeks. Twitter has not paid rent for its San Francisco headquarters and all of its global offices for weeks, the New York Times reports, citing three unidentified people close to the company. Now, this one here, we know that the New York Times is not the best place to get our information. So I'm taking that one with a massive grain of salt. But if we are seeing that we've got Twitter, who clearly had some financial issues that Elon was trying to square away initially, clearing those up, we've been hearing stories about he may be moving their headquarters from San Francisco to another location, perhaps down in Florida somewhere. We don't know for sure. So maybe this is what is going on, and they're just kind of re-coordinating what they're doing with their offices. Again, rent needs to get paid, whether it's been paid or not. We do not know for sure. We're just getting these reports coming out from Bloomberg, from the New York Times. But we do know that a lot of advertisers stepped away from Twitter as soon as Elon came on board, thereby putting it into financial constraints. We know that Elon did sell shares back in October, citing that he needed to make sure that he had the funds available to be able to get Twitter through some difficult times if we get into them next year. So, putting these pieces together, with Elon coming out and saying that he truly fears what the Fed is going to be doing with over tightening, and knowing that Twitter is the only company that Elon has that he obviously just acquired, is not in a place financially to be able to weather the storm that we may be seeing next year in 2023 if it gets as bad as he thinks it is. He wants to prepare for the worst. So, my guess is if we see these Form 4 filings come out and that shows that Elon was selling these shares, I believe he was doing so in order to have the cash on hand to be able to get Twitter through next year. He has said also on Twitter that his number one priority is to fix this woke mind virus situation that's going on, and he is doing that through Twitter. So for him, his number one priority is to make sure that Twitter survives so that we can continue this momentum moving past this recession that he believes we may be getting into. So, putting all of this together, I am now saying that if we see these Form 4 filings, it is because Elon wants to make sure he has enough cash to make sure that Twitter does not go bankrupt during 2023 if we get into this deeper recession. And that would explain all of the underperformance that we have seen the last 2 days, between yesterday's 6% down and today's massive underperformance at 4% down. So, that's theory number one as to why we have seen this underperformance. Again, you guys can let me know in the comments below if you believe that that one holds any water. Second theory that I have is perhaps there are some large shareholders that are out there right now who are on margin and they are getting margin called. Perhaps they are out there, and this is why they have been screaming so loudly for a buyback, because they were getting really close to margin call and they did not want to get there. Perhaps this is what happened today. We saw the underperformance. We see all of the shorts coming out, intentionally driving the stock down to trigger that margin call. Perhaps that is what we got. Again, we won't know for sure on that until we see any filings come out, but that again is just another theory. You guys can let me know in the comments below if you think there are any large shareholders out there that may have been getting margin called that may have caused this massive dip. The next theory is tax loss harvesting. So, basic Google search, this is the Google definition of it. Tax loss harvesting Generally works like this: you sell an investment that's underperforming and losing money. Then you use that loss to reduce your taxable capital gains and potentially offset up to $3,000 of your ordinary income. Now, while $3,000 does not seem like it is a lot of money that is going to be driving the stock price down as much as it has come down, if enough retail investors out there have done just this, it could add up. And while we look at the entire stock market and say, well, there's a lot of other stocks that people can sell to be able to take a loss on, seeing where Tesla is at with the sentiment and where it is, and some people believing that it may fall down further, this might be a strategy that they're going to use: sell the stock right now, anticipate it coming down further, and then buy in as it comes down further as we go into next year. Again, that's just a theory, and maybe it's a combination of all three that have driven us down this far, but that is just another one of my theories that's coming out. There's a lot more that goes into tax loss harvesting as well. I was going to be doing a live stream, but we're going to wait on that one, and I'm going to have some other people on here who know more about it than I do to be able to share with you guys what that's all about. But even as it is answered here, is tax loss harvesting really worth it? The bottom line: it's generally a poor decision to sell an investment, even one with a loss, solely for tax reasons. Nevertheless, tax loss harvesting can be a useful part of your overall financial planning and investment strategy and should be one tactic toward achieving your financial goals. So, again, I'm not one who is going to be going out and selling my Tesla shares. I don't have enough that's going to make a difference. I didn't make enough profits on the year anyway to need to offset them as it is. I was just riding out most of the year, selling off some other losers earlier in the year to be able to free up cash to buy more Tesla along the way. That's what I had been doing for the entire year. If we had gotten to this point of the year and I did have a profit and I wanted to offset that, I would probably just find another loser that I have and sell that off instead. But that is what I would have done. However, there's some other people out there who don't feel the same way that I do, and some of you do, and may have been selling Tesla stock instead. And the last theory that I have is market manipulators. I don't think that market manipulators were going to drive down the stock as much as it was today with 175 million shares trading hands. However, we've talked about it before. One of the things that market manipulators and hedge funds do is they drive sentiment one way or the other intentionally as far as they possibly can to be able to maximize their gains. And so, believing that Tesla is going to be great long term, as Elon said, knowing that we do have a lot of retail investors that are invested in Tesla stock itself, retail investors are the ones who are usually manipulated a lot more. Institutional money doesn't get manipulated. They buy the company for the fundamentals around it. They do that, they're good. As we have heard from Ross Gerber in the past, as a fund manager himself, very often he'll get a lot of calls and pressure from his clients, and he'll try to talk them off of the cliff. But occasionally he will have to make moves because he doesn't want to lose clients either. So we do see some institutions end up getting swayed by some of the sentiment also, just because they don't want to lose clients. When we are in a situation right now where we've got a lot less inflows coming into all of these funds, they want to keep as many clients as they can. So if they have a lot of their clients coming up and saying, we don't want to be in Tesla stock, we don't like what's going on, why are you not selling it? They're going to end up selling it just because they are getting that pressure from their clients. With hedge funds, they know this. Elon doing what he's doing on Twitter obviously has stirred up a lot of negative sentiment around him and now in turn Tesla itself. Now don't forget that Tesla stock is the only one that is publicly traded. So it's not like we can have hedge funds manipulating retail investors for SpaceX or Boring Company or Neuralink or even Twitter at this point. It is only Tesla. That is where they can manipulate the sentiment. That's where they can manipulate all of the retail investors. So they are driving this down further, and they're going to drive it down as far as they possibly can. So, in doing so, what's going to happen is wherever that bottom ends up being, wherever they see that sentiment is going to turn, they're going to drive it as far down as they can, because when the sentiment does turn around, that means that they're going to multiply their money even more when it comes back up. Let's say that they drive the stock price down to $60. I know some of you have said that in the comments below that you think $60 or $100 is as far as we can come down. I'm not going to say it's not going to get there. Who knows what's going to happen? We have seen some wild things happening this year. If it comes down to $60, think about coming back up to 180. That's going to be a 3x. There's a very good chance we are going to be getting back to 180 in a relatively short amount of time if we end up coming down that far. That is a very quick 3x that hedge funds can make on their money. And if it goes past that, that's even more. So this is another thing that is done. And again, I think the hedge funds aren't the ones who may have caused this massive sell-off that we have been seeing lately, but they're definitely going to utilize it to their advantage to drive it even further. Catch some margin calls, catch some other sale orders that are going through to be able to push that stock price down even more so that when they buy it at the bottom, they can multiply their money that much more as well. And so there it is. Those are my 4 theories as to why I think that we are seeing the stock price movements as we are recently. Again, let me know in the comments below if you think any of these hold water. Let me know if you guys think that we are going to be seeing any Form 4 filings coming out this week from Elon, maybe Kimball. Who knows who else might be selling during these times? Quite honestly, if we see Kimball coming out and selling, I would be more concerned than if it was Elon. Elon selling, at least we can say, whether we agree with it or not, he was doing so to be able to make sure that Twitter does not go bankrupt. So we can say that. If Kimball sells, that to me would be a little bit more of a concern. But I'm not going to even dive deep into that one until we actually get any Form 4 filings that come out. And now Alex Clemens in the comments actually had a good theory that I had thought as well about what Elon is doing over on Twitter with really stirring up the pot and pissing off a lot of people. The theory is that perhaps he is doing this intentionally, kind of drawing up the sentiment for people saying, I think it's time for Elon to step down from the CEO position. There's a lot of institutions out there right now, and there's a lot of long-term shareholders who would like to keep Elon there. They don't want Elon to go away. They would actually like to see Elon be more active and have a more active role when it comes to Tesla, despite the fact that Elon had told us recently that Tesla basically runs on its own and he really is basically hands off. But to make that official transition, it would be difficult and really could disrupt some other larger investors. But if he pisses off enough people and there's enough sentiment saying, Elon, I think it's time to step down, I think you're actually causing more harm than good, then maybe that's the right time for Elon to say, hey, here's Tom Zhu. He is going to come in here and he's going to take over as CEO, and then everybody will cheer it. And he will pave this good, smooth road for the new leader to come in because he has created such a negative sentiment around himself. Again, that is just the 4D chess game theory that Alex had thought of. So that is a great theory, and I think that that might hold true. And again, you guys can let me know in the comments below if you think that theory is going to hold water as well. So there were a couple other things in the news as well. I'm going to touch on most of that in the morning, but I wanted to do a quick follow-up on what Sandy Munro had said about the gigacasting. He did a little follow-up video. I'll put the link to that in the comments below. It'll make this video too long here, so I don't want to add to this. But he basically said it was a prototype casting, and based upon what he can see, it's actually 5 castings that are welded together. He goes into a deeper explanation into it, but he did say it is definitely a prototype. He knows for fact, based upon the timing of when he was over in Italy, that the GigaPress isn't even up and running over in Austin yet. So this is a prototype that they're probably just doing some testing on to make sure that everything is going to fit together as planned, and that is what they're looking at. So again, from what he saw, that picture was a 5-piece casting, and we will go further into it. And he said that he will do a follow-up as he gets more information as well. And so again, to finish all of it up, yes, we've got a lot of drama going on. I just came out with a bunch of theories for you guys. Hopefully that may even just explain why we are going through what we're going through. Again, there's a lot of other things that we need to find out for sure to see if any of these theories are actually going to be fact. And it's just some way of trying to explain what we have been seeing in the stock price movement. But again, long term, I feel the same as Elon that the company and the stock are going to be great. So I am going to continue to buy and continue to hold as far as I can see, because when it comes down to it, the actual fundamentals of the company are still doing extremely well. And we have to remember that if we do go into a deeper recession next year, we are going to have Tesla, who does not have any debt and a monster stockpile of cash that if they need to pay for the bills for whatever reason that they don't have the cash flow coming in, they can just use the cash that they have dollar for dollar and pay their bills. Meanwhile, pretty much all of their competition that is out there is going to need to take on debt of some sort, and that debt is going to be extremely expensive debt because the interest rates are so high right now. So just think about that when you start looking at that long term. Tesla, if we go into a deeper recession, needing to spend their cash on things, is going to spend their cash. That's it. They're not going to owe anyone long term. Everyone else is going to be having to pay off debt for a much longer term, which means that Tesla will be able to extend their lead even further the longer we go out. And to share this tweet that just came out from Elon after I finished recording, I jumped back on to show you guys this. In a response to Holmar's catalog, unpopular opinion, Elon Musk owning Twitter elevates Tesla's brand reach and marketing. Elon's response, I will make sure Tesla shareholders benefit from Twitter long term. And again, this goes back to one of my previous theories, which is I believe that long term, when Twitter finally gets to the point that Elon wants to take it to, it is going to do very well for Tesla shareholders. Again, this is just Elon saying this. I do believe this. I can see how it can possibly play out. You guys can let me know in the comments below on that one. But we are starting to see a lot more reassurance from Elon coming out saying, look, these are tough times. Focus on the long term. This is what he has always been in it for, is the long term. So yes, we have some near-term stuff going on. Focus on the long term. That's what I'm doing. Again, you guys need to make your own decisions on your end as to what is best for you and your portfolio, but I am holding with this. I am going to be holding and adding. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all of the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. We do have a Discord chat. That link is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a membership program and a Patreon. Those links are also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.